In early November of the year 2000, a 16-year-old girl from Allentown, Pennsylvania, does not come home. Her name is Tiffany Bradley. On the 8th of November, her family reports her missing. A few days later, the phone rings for one of her cousins. It is Tiffany. She is calling from Syracuse, New York, a couple hundred miles from home, and she sounds all right. She tells her cousin not to worry. She says she is fine. She says she knows the people she is with. She says she will call back later, that she has to go. Then she hangs up. Tiffany does not call back. Not that night, not the next day, not ever. That call, a girl saying she is fine and she has to go, is the last thing her family will ever hear from her. To the people who knew her, Tiffany was not a statistic. She was an athlete. She played basketball for her school. She had joined ROTC. A cousin would later describe her simply as a sweet, cute, incredibly athletic girl from an ordinary family and an ordinary life in Allentown. And somehow, in the fall of 2000, that ordinary 16-year-old had been pulled out of that life, carried from Pennsylvania to New York, and then on toward Boston, in the hands of people who meant to sell her. That is the truth investigators would eventually land on. Tiffany was a child, and she was being trafficked. When she called her cousin from Syracuse and said she was fine, that she knew the people she was with, she almost certainly did not understand what was happening to her or where it was about to take her. 5 days after she was reported missing, it took her somewhere there was no coming back from. On the 13th of November, in the city of Chelsea, Massachusetts, just across the water from Boston, police are called to a parking lot outside a building called the Soldiers' Home. Under a blanket, they find the body of a young woman. She has been murdered, and whoever did it has made certain, on purpose, that she cannot be identified. There are no fingerprints to take. There is no face to photograph. The officers in that lot are standing over a human being and cannot answer the first question every case begins with. Who is she? And this is the year 2000. The tools that will one day answer that question do not exist yet in any form that can help her. They have to call her something, so they name her for the city where she was found, Chelsea Jane Doe. A medical examiner does what can be done for her, documenting and preserving a body that has been stripped of nearly every clue to its own identity. But the one thing that matters most, her name, stays out of reach. She goes into the record as an unknown, a young woman, race and rough age, and little else. And then something happens that almost never happens in a case like this. They find her killer. Fast. His name is Eugene McCollum. On the surface, he does not look like anyone's idea of a monster. He is a high school graduate and a former high school baseball player, well-groomed, the kind of man people around him describe as a typical local guy. Underneath that surface, something had come apart years before. His brother had been stabbed to death in a bar, and McCollum would later describe himself as a kind of ticking time bomb. In August of 2001, less than a year after the murder, police pull McCollum over in South Boston. He's driving a stolen car, and there is a warrant out on him. That ordinary traffic stop is the thread that starts to pull everything loose. Detectives begin to look hard at him for the Chelsea case, but suspicion is not proof, and McCollum is not going to walk in and hand them a confession that holds up. So they watch him, they wait, and at one point, sitting near an officer, McCollum lifts a soda bottle, drinks from it, and sets it back down. That is the mistake. That is all they need. They take the bottle, they lift his DNA off the glass his lips just touched, and they match it to evidence left on the murdered girl. Investigators also find security camera footage that shows him disposing of her body. The story he tells them is built to make her sound like nobody, that she was just someone he picked up in Boston, brought back to his small room at the Lynn YMCA, and argued with over money. What he actually did to a trafficked child, hundreds of miles from her home, is monstrous by any measure. And she was not the only person he killed. McCullum was also responsible for the death of a Boston man named John Layden. He is convicted, and he will grow old and die behind bars. Now stay with what has just happened, because it is stranger than it sounds. The system has convicted a man of murdering a specific girl. It has taken his freedom for good for ending hers, and not one person involved can tell you her name. The victim at the center of the entire case is still Chelsea Jane Doe. They have caught the man who took her life. They still have no idea whose life it was. So the case closes on one question and stays wide open on another. Closed on who did it, open on who she was. The murder is solved. The girl is not. A killer is named and locked away, while his victim stays a stranger, filed under the name of a city she had never lived in and only happened to die in. 400 miles away, in Allentown, a family is waiting. They know Tiffany is missing. Someone filed the report the moment she did not come home. What they do not know is that she is already gone, that she has been gone since that November, that she is lying in a medical examiner's office in Massachusetts under a name that was never hers. And the years begin to stack up. 1 turns into 5. 5 turns into 10. Birthdays arrive and pass. The world keeps moving, and the question just hangs in the air of that family, year after year, with no answer. Where is Tiffany? They do not let go of her. They keep asking, keep hoping, the way families in these cases so often do. That one day a phone will ring and someone will finally be able to tell them what happened to their girl. But the call never comes. In Massachusetts, meanwhile, investigators refuse to let her go either. Over the years, they work every angle the era allows. They check her against dental records. They run her through missing persons files. Her case is featured in the media as one of the region's enduring unidentified victims, the girl from Chelsea that nobody could name, in the hope that somewhere out there, someone will recognize her. Nothing lands. The same cruelty that ended her life has erased the ordinary ways of learning who she was. So it becomes two halves of the very same tragedy, worked in two different states by people who never know the halves belong together. In Massachusetts, a victim with no name. In Pennsylvania, an absence with no answer. And for a quarter of a century, nothing is able to reach across the space between them. For 26 years, that is where it sits. Then the science catches up to her. By the 2020s, a method called investigative genetic genealogy is quietly cracking cases everyone had written off. It does not go looking for the victim in a database because she was never in one. It does something cleverer. It takes her DNA and climbs outward through her family tree, cousin by distant cousin, matching against genealogy records, narrowing the branches until all the lines start pointing at one family. This is slow, patient work. It means building a family tree for a stranger from the ground up, tracing lines through birth and marriage and death records, chasing branches that dead end and starting again. An FBI cold case team working with Massachusetts State Police takes Tiffany's profile and begins that climb. Branch by branch, the tree narrows. And then it hands them a brother. From that one living relative, the whole picture snaps into focus. The girl in the Chelsea parking lot, the nameless body a man was convicted of killing, is Tiffany Bradley. The 16-year-old who called her cousin from Syracuse and said she had to go. The missing girl from Allentown, whose family never stopped waiting. After 26 years, Chelsea Jane Doe has a name again. And somewhere in Tiffany's family, a phone finally rings. 26 years after they reported a girl who did not come home, someone from law enforcement is on the other end of the line. able at last to say the words they had almost stopped letting themselves hope for. They found her. They know who she is. In June of 2026, investigators stand in front of cameras and say it out loud. And then, Tiffany's family steps up to speak. They do not talk about DNA. They do not talk about the man in prison. They talk about her. Her niece, Shakira Wiggins, calls it a miracle. She says it is amazing that after 26 years, people still cared enough to give Tiffany her name and bring her back to her family. Then her aunt, Janet Bradley Knight, says the thing that stays with you long after the cameras are gone. She thanks them from the bottom of her heart for not letting her baby be a box on a shelf. And the Chelsea police chief, Keith Houghton, puts words to the silence the family had lived inside. Through all those years, he says, they never gave up hope of one day learning the truth and getting the answers they deserved. Nothing can undo what they endured. But now, after nearly 26 years, they can finally have some closure. There is one more thing worth saying, because Tiffany is not the only one. All over the country, the remains of thousands of people sit unidentified in medical examiners' offices and in cold case files. Each of them somebody's child, each of them a name that fell out of the record. For decades, a body with no fingerprints and no face and no database match simply stayed a stranger forever. Genetic genealogy is changing that now, one person at a time, quietly handing names back to families who had stopped believing they would ever get one. Tiffany is one of those names. Come back. And every time it happens, another family somewhere is about to get the call the Bradleys waited 26 years to receive. Eugene McCollum is still in prison. This story was never really about him. It is about a 16-year-old girl who played basketball, joined ROTC, and picked up a phone in Syracuse to tell her cousin she was fine, right before she vanished into 26 years of silence. She was somebody's daughter, somebody's niece, somebody the world lost track of so completely that even in death, she was reduced to a placeholder, a Jane Doe, a body with the city's name pinned to it because no one had her own. Not anymore. She is Tiffany Bradley, a 16-year-old girl from Allentown, Pennsylvania, who is finally more than a case number and a borrowed city's name. And after 26 years in the dark, the one thing no one could ever really take from her, her own name, belongs to her again. And this time, it stays.